we will be able to jump into this first mulligan. There we go. Hello, Leeroy. I mean, we regularly say how he's one of these players that just loves to play it up to camera, proving us once again right here. Is he?
What is this deck as well?
Pulls out the England. Yeah. Is this is Jambray's deck?
Yeah, this looks like Jambray's deck of sorts. It's like Secret Paladin, Divine Shield deck. Yeah. Do you know what this is? This is like old Shocker Paladin. Do you remember Shocker Din they used to have with Leeroy Jenkins, Blessing of Might, that kind of thing? It was like maybe about 2.5 years ago was the #1 ladder deck. It's kind of like a reiteration of that.
Very aggressive Paladin deck, but unfortunately he's drawn 4 of his cards that you don't really want early on. 5 of his cards actually. You don't want Competitive Spirit either, so absolutely nothing for Hello Leeroy to play. You never know, he might have been wearing that cowboy hat all day.
That is incredible.
I don't think he put it on just for stream.
He's just gonna slam down the Competitive Spirit.
Well, on the other side, Cipher certainly has at least a good turn 2 play. He's got a good turn 3 play, but
this isn't bad. You can Argent Squire, coin hero power, and then just hope you draw something for turn 3.
The light protects.
Do you coin it out as well, hoping for the Competitive Spirit to go onto both and presume that Cipher won't trade, or it's too late now because it's already happened? But Tundra Rhino in Cipher's hand as well. Like, that became very popular when Call of the Wild came out, but then it kind of fell out a little bit. But when it works, Tundra Rhino is just disgusting.
I mean, if you get Tundra Rhino and Call of the Wild, you basically win the game.
Yeah. I mean, even Tundra Rhino into something like Savannah is also incredible.
So what I think Hello Leeroy is thinking here is that if the Argent Squire survives, he gets a guaranteed trade with 3-2, but Cipher's not going to let that happen. He's going to use the Eagle Horn Bow, and Hello Leeroy will be met with the realization that he's still got this secret on board that's doing nothing right now. And Cipher's probably got an idea that it's not Redemption, it's unsure if it's Repentance thus far.
And I think another reason why Hello Leeroy didn't use the coin is because when you do have a clunky hand like this, you want to save that coin for perhaps something later on for a big play. You definitely don't want to be playing Leeroy Jenkins other than to really burst down damage and finish off, to be honest. It doesn't feel good if you're going to have to play it just to try and contest board. But Cipher not putting anything on board.
Barnes, boys, it's a pretty solid turn 4 coming out, because if it draws, well, let's see what it draws.
I've got to say, Hello Leeroy's been doing pretty decently to just live off the top of his deck this last 3 turns. He's been playing just about on curve as well. Not the greatest Barnes we've ever seen, but better than what he had in his hand.
And that does happen sometimes when you have drawn like the high end of your deck. You do just start to draw the good stuff. So he's been doing well to get those cards on curve.
Hello Leeroy looks really relaxed right now.
He's so relaxed. On his phone, texting, probably about 7 birds, and being like, yeah, check me out on Hearthstone, mate. I've got cowboy hat on.
Hello Leeroy, the game player of Hearthstone.
So Tundra Rhino, it doesn't feel great, does it? Just as a turn 5 play. I mean,
are
you can contest Barnes, but
you must be pretty sure that it's probably Competitive Spirit now. It could be Repentance, but who runs Repentance these days?
No, it wouldn't be Repentance because he's already played his big bad wolf.
No, because that came from Death Rattle.
Well, he's already played.
Oh yeah, he had that since turn 1. Of course he did.
The kindly grandmother, should I say?
Kindly grandmother, yes.
I confused you.
Just a little bit, but now Leeroy could probably just bounce this back and then coin Barnes again. I don't know. Is it +3 or is it +2? 3, yeah. It's +3. 2. No, you're right. It's 2. He could definitely just bounce his back and play Barnes again. I would bounce him back and play Barnes again.
Would you bounce your Leeroy back?
No, because you just give him 3/2 whelps and then.
You do, but you keep a 4/5 on the board. I don't know.
But you could basically get a 4/5 on board by bouncing Barnes back.
The issue with bouncing your Leeroy as well is it removes your Leeroy Blessing of King's combo for 9 mana.
It also tells your opponent that you have Leeroy.
Yeah. He's going to go for your play though. He's just going to coin out the Barnes. And I mean, what's good, because obviously Tyrion's gone. So I'm trying to think what else is in this deck that's... I mean, well, that's
not bad.
That's alright. It's got Stealth and Divine Shield.
And you can Blessing of Kings it.
It'll do.
Because that deals with Savannah Highmane quite nicely.
Definitely does.
Speaking of the devil, right?
Speak of the Highmane,
That's actually a really nice play for Leeroy because he can also deal with the 2-2s.
Exactly, with his rallying blade and his barns.
This turn is looking pretty juicy, I think it's safe to say. Hello, Leeroy. Still considering options right now, not wanting to rush into anything.
Well, I guess he's also thinking, if I go face, like, how much damage does I need to kill him, like, eventually, in sort of 2 or 3 turns?
I think it's important on these easier turns, because this is basically a straightforward turn, is to think ahead and use this time when you won't have that extra time in harder turns later on, so like, you do have to think ahead.
If he was to equip True Silver and Dude, and then just went face, I guess he's thinking, like, if I then have the follow-up of Blessing of Kings, another charge of True Silver, then follow-up, if I can survive that long, and next turn with Leeroy Jenkins. But I think what this particular play is just better, and it will mean that he's rewarded with a fairly healthy board state that isn't punished by much, really.
Certainly not. And now it's down to Cipher to answer. That 5-5 though is going to be so difficult to deal with. He does have a quick shot in hand, so there are ways of getting around things, as well as that Tundra Rhino.
So what you could do is you could Tundra Rhino with your Kindly Grandmother. Kindly Grandmother would have charge, and then the Big Bad Wolf would also have charge coming out of it.
Yeah, for sure. And then you deal with everything on board.
Then you could deal with the 5-5 afterwards. Or you could do it this way. It makes a lot more sense because then Tundra Rhino stays alive.
Yeah.
So good play from Cipher, and that's why Tundra Rhino can be pretty devastating. So what was a very ugly board for him, he's managed to deal with quite successfully. So
Leeroy going to be Superman efficient while he can, and we'll use the True Silver here to deal with the Tundra Rhino. This is Cipher's just play to just go straight into Ragnaros.
And that's the thing, you naturally play Rag, but if it hits the Divine Shield and the Stealth, that's not going to feel... It's not going to feel great, which it does.
It's not going to feel great, but considering what you've seen out of this deck as well, you're not too worried about instant removal.
I suppose like something like a Blessing of Kings could have been quite bad with the Divine Shield, so...
Who am I? None of your business.
Oh, who is he, friends? He is none of your business, I'll tell you that.
He disappeared for a while, didn't he? The old mysterious challenger.
Hello, Leeroy's thinking, what do I do about this Ragnaros, though? I think that's his main concern. What do I do about this Ragnaros the Fire Lord that could hit my 6/6 for free, and then I feel incredibly punished?
I mean, he's got nothing to do with it now, so I think he's trying to think ahead once again.
Options.
I think because you've got the True Silver in hand, you still you use that charge.
Like, it's Call of the Wild turn next turn. You want to make sure that you're remaining healthy. And Call of the Wild, I mean, Deadly Shot's pretty fantastic. You've got double quick shot. You know that one of these is definitely, you know that one of these is absolutely redemption, also Noble Sacrifice.
So the Noble Sacrifice will block that attack, but I think Cipher was well aware of that situation and gets rid of the redemption as well. But now, Deadly Shot.
Not as great now, because the max you can get is a 50-50, and then Ragnaros gives you a 50-50 as well.
It's going to be an interesting decision to see what he actually opts to go for here. I mean, you could... There's an argument to say using the 2 quick shots, using the Deadly Shot, hope for the 50-50, just because if you don't, you reduce the chance of your Ragnaros not clearing the board. But at the same time, it feels pretty bad to use those quick shots in this way, just to have to play the board as a hunter, but...
He's going to go for the drawing the card version. Oh! Absolutely rewarded.
That was beautiful. Well, play perfectly, get rewarded. Cipher managed to clear the board.
And that was the kind of play I was going to go for, just because he needed that card draw as well. I think he was worried if he had gone for the double quick shot first, then he obviously doesn't get the card draw. So,
yeah.
I mean, it was an extremely risky play, but if it pays off like that, then credit to the man for risking it.
Slam Tyrion now? You know Deadly Shot's gone.
Too right.
Play Tyrion and Dragon's Egg probably, and then you give Ragnaros that 50-50 and...
You do, and the life total's not particularly high from Cipher either, and Hello Leeroy still has a decent amount to work with.
And if things get awful, right, you've still got Leeroy Jenkins to clear Ragnaros.
You do. And I mean, so you've got 9 damage in hand already. And so 13 with both charges of the True Silver.
In fact, I wouldn't even be too bothered about just playing Tyrion and Dragon's Egg, because if Tyrion comes down and gives you the... If Tyrion came down and gave you the 4-4, sorry, the 5-3 weapon, you're going to start charging it into face, probably just spamming dudes, and that's still reducing Ragnaros' efficiency. But Tyrion, what Leeroy is saying here is, hey,
I can draw into lethal.
I can draw into lethal, or if he doesn't manage to clear my entire board, even just a 1-1 gives me lethal.
Kill command won't be doing its 5 damage though. Hello Leeroy, already crossing his fingers.
Yeah, he's crossing his fingers because if Ragnaros hits the 0-2, it gives him a 2-1 on board and it gives him lethal.
It does indeed.
So if Ragnaros hits the 0-2, he's got lethal.
See what happens. Does hit the 0-2. What a guy. What a guy. Well, Voldemort on top of everything else as well, but that is going to be... Hello, Leeroy managed to take that one. To be honest, looking at his starting hand right at the very start of that match, it didn't look like that was going to be Leeroy's game. He basically had all of his late game cards to start things off, but managed to work out in the end.
Do you know who I feel sorry for most in this? Is Jambray. Jambray's brought that deck like 4 times.
And
he's lost with it about 4 times.
Every single
Leeroy
time.
brings it 1 time and he goes, yeah, this is how you draw well with it.
Didn't even draw that well with it,
well,
like,
just his mulligan was awful and then he just went off curve.
I mean, like Munch said, living off top deck for quite a while. But then when you draw all of your, in inverted commas, rubbish in the early game, you probably you're increasing your chances that you will top deck something that will be effective in the early game. So
yeah, for sure, and I did manage to do so. Now we move further into our series. Cipher, I think, not going to be too happy about that loss. It definitely felt like he was ahead for a large portion of the game. You know, I've got to say I was impressed by how well that deck was able to actually control the game from coming out from Leeroy. That's not a deck that you look at and think, this is the kind of deck, like Dragon Warrior, where you can kind of play control if you need to. That's not what you think when you see that Paladin deck, but...
Christmas come early, boys.
Oh, the deck, the hat has changed as the deck has changed.
Well, I think just that final touch on that last game was the bouncing the Barnes back, playing the Barnes again, and getting that Divine Shield so that he couldn't trade it into
It was the play that was the most... For me, it was the play that made the most sense.
And that was what won him the game.
Yeah. You're right. I mean, you play Barnes, you get rewarded.
So it is Tempo Mage coming from Hello Leeroy rather than Freeze Mage, which I think in this current meta, I definitely prefer.
Hello Leeroy, probably next turn just goes... thinking about just going Sorcerer's Apprentice into Mirror Image. The only punish really is Unleash the Hounds, and that doesn't even punish you that hard, so he can afford to wait. I guess the other thought is that maybe I Mirror Image now, but why would you really?
There's no difference really, is there?
What to do?
Literally, there's no difference.
Especially with no abusive sergeants or anything like that in a Tempo Mage. Or at least we don't think there is. You never know with Hello Leeroy in his Christmas hats.
The issue with holding it past turn 2, though, is Cat Trick.
Greetings, traveler.
That's true.
Hello.
Because obviously, with no turn 1 play here for Cipher, he could just coin Cat Trick if he really wanted to.
Okay, so, well, that may be the thought process from Leeroy as to why he's playing it now.
This right here is a rank 25 play that you would just immediately look at a mage and say rank 25 play. but it makes sense in this particular scenario.
Now Cipher, looking at that play, is like, why?
what rank am I at? And now he's probably looking at Sorcerer's Apprentice and thinking even more like, why? And I guess it's still, again, that thought of playing around Cat Trick. I think at this point you probably quick shot, yeah.
Yep. It always feels horrendous leaving a Sorcerer's Apprentice on board.
And we've got a turn 3 play regardless of Hello Leeroy, and refilling the hand isn't particularly bad at all.
Water Elemental in the deck as well. I mean, I've seen Water Elemental be removed from a few Tempo Mage decks. I think Raven, when he brought that Tempo Mage the other week, he had removed Water Elementals out of it. But that was it was running Barnes as well, if you remember. You give me the weirdest look, but it's okay. I'm just going to keep going. So next turn, Flame Waker plus Mirror Image if he wants it. And not only is that great against Catrick if Catrick did come down, because you could, you know, hit that 2 health Panther.
So Snipe is one of these things, and Hello Leeroy probably has to consider that Snipe is one of those things. The unfortunate reality of the situation is that Snipe punishes both of the only minions he can play on this turn. I think Flame Wake is probably more impactful than Azure Drake, so I would probably play the Azure Drake.
Yeah, I think as well, you get the card draw out of the Azure Drake, so...
Yeah, for sure.
Or, bounce your Water Elemental back to hand, hit him with a Hero Power, and then just play Water Elemental next turn. It's going to drop. That's Flame Waker, though. And well, the Snipe punishes him. That's both of the traps dealt with, though.
Yes, and most importantly, no Eagle Horn Bone has been charged up.
That is true. So, I mean, it gets away with it to some extent, but also, as we can see, there wasn't an Eagle Horn Bow available in hand to stack up there. So,
What to do? What to do?
I guess it's one of those situations. It's like, well, if I don't get something sniped now, then it's just going to get sniped later. But I think you were right, Munchie. There was the possibility of playing Water Elemental into it, but are you so far behind because you've just pretty much wasted a turn?
well, I don't feel like that's far from what the result of that turn was.
But well, at least he got rid of the secret, I guess.
Yeah, that's true. Well, there we go. Catrick is going to be dropped now. But that's about it from Cipher. Playing this one very slow, but considering what he's got in his hand, it's not too surprising. As far as we can tell, he's pretty much just waiting for Ragnaros at this point.
Yeah, this is a relatively ugly turn as well. This Water Elemental for 6 mana doesn't feel amazing. I think he's worried it might be another Snipe, which he will find out it's not.
Well, Babbling Book's
happy.
not bad.
Babbling Book's really good just off the back of that Azure Drake, purely because of the tempo of it. It fits with your mana curve. Otherwise, you would have pretty much just been ending your turn.
Well, naturally,
you
would probably play Mirror Image because of the mana curve, but you saw him mouth it, that when the secret came down, he was like, that's probably Catrick, because he's seen a Freezing Trap, he's seen a Snipe.
It wasn't Snipe because he just
And
played
it
the
wasn't,
Azure Drake.
and then
so
that one wasn't a Snipe, yeah, so...
by process of elimination, Dan Gaskin.
He is considering the Catrick.
Well, it's a 60. If he's not running Explosive Trap, it's a 66% chance that it's just Catrick.
And Ice Barrier, in Leroy's words, is garbage.
Oh, you know, could be the difference between life and death here for Leeroy.
It could be. And if it is, I will make him take those words back. Because I can breed.
Now, fairly difficult tracking here between Cloaked Huntress, Animal Companion. I mean, what do you guys go for here? Do you go for the Animal Companion with Leok already in play?
I mean, I'd take Animal Companion because if you get Huffer, you get a free trade onto the Azure Drake.
Because you've already got Catrick on board, your Catrick in hand is... You're not going to be playing it just yet. But he's going to take Cloaked Huntress anyway.
He just takes one of the kill commands.
I guess he feels that he's going to draw into secrets, and that Cloaked Huntress is going to be more impactful than the Animal Companion.
Yes. Could just Fireland's Portal here. If you get a 4 health minion from it though, however, feels bad, man.
And if you think it's Catrick as well, you're not going to want to use 7 mana spell and summon some random minion you don't know what it's going to be.
But then what other options do you have, right? You could Azure Drake and Frostbolt, but if you know it's Catrick again, you know. And it's 4 health minion.
Well, not fun for Leeroy. Pops the Catrick, and now the Cloaked Huntress can come into play as well as an Eagle Horn Bow. This is looking like a pretty good turn, and if he really wants, Cipher doesn't have to trade this 4-2 in. He has other options available.
Could just coin Ragnaros, not even reveal the 4-2.
I think I would have preferred Azure Drake plus Mirror Image last turn. But hindsight's a lovely thing.
So it is a wonderful thing. The coin Ragnaros will come through for Cipher here.
He's going to guarantee 8 damage to face. They actually would have been tempted to just allow Ragnaros to try and get a 50-50, but then obviously if you leave a 4-4 on board, it makes it easy to trade into the Ragnaros. So actually, I take that entire play back.
You just went back on yourself.
You are now listening to the inner monologue of
Classic scoundrel.
Here we go. Babbling Book once again comes through for Hello Leeroy. We already saw he got his garbage ice barrier earlier.
What do you think about just playing Cult Sorcerer and Mirror Image?
Just more targets for Ragnaros.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then also you get a follow-up turn. If they both survive, you do get a 7 damage Violence Portal plus ping, which deals with Ragnaros nicely. If Unleash the Hounds is not a thing from Cipher. And he's not got the coin, so he can't coin Call of the Wild.
What to do?
The trouble has been for Hello Leeroy, he's been behind the majority of this game. And as a tempo mage, generally it is hard to get back into games, especially when there is such presence on the board like this for Cipher. I mean, the mirror image is a great way to try and deflect those Ragnaros bullets. He's going to put the Babbling Book on instead of the Cult Sorcerer because he's more concerned about his Cult Sorcerer getting removed, I guess.
He's saying Spellbender is okay because, you know, can soak the only spell you would imagine would be targeted, which is Kill Command or Quick Shot.
Come midnight.
Come midnight.
Indeed. Well, Eagle Horn Bow going to be played here as well for Cipher. So
that was a good impression.
Some play will come into play. Ragnaros though has to roll the dice on this one. We'll see what he's going to be able to take out.
Good target.
Babbling Book. So pays off for Hello Leeroy, filling the board there. But again, we're seeing a lot of turns for Hello Leeroy where he just doesn't have the greatest
he's got
options.
Massive card advantage here. This is the one thing that sits in Hello Leeroy's hand. He's practically burnt through every single secret. He's got massive card advantage. If he takes Ragnaros off the board here and trades his 4-4 into the 3-4, which is entirely possible, then you're just left with a 4-2 on board and a double charge bow, which can get dealt with from stuff from hand as well from Hello Leeroy.
So what are we thinking? Frostbolt plus Firelands Portal onto Ragnaros, and then trade as a Drake into Plague Huntress?
I wouldn't even be averse to playing Cults. No, I can't do it this turn. Yeah, that's probably what I'm thinking. Or just ignoring Ragnaros again, but then that's a little bit risky.
That Cult Sorcerer also drops the Cult Sorcerer, sorry, as well as playing that Frostbolt just to finish off the Ragnaros. I believe he'll give him a trade as well. And suddenly things are looking up right now for Hello Leeroy. Obviously did proc that secret, so Cat Trick now on the board. But Barnes in hand is always a dangerous scenario. A Kill Command as well, so options available, but I mean the Deadly Shot and the Kill Command both feel pretty awkward here.
He has got 11 damage. At this point, he's at 29 health. He could just say YOLO. You know, like I could put him on a timer where another quick shot draw and basically one hero power wins me the game. He's already used a lot of his burn.
Yeah, he can play Barnes in that turn as well. So let's see. Gets Cloaked Huntress, which ideal in another world that would have been great, because you know you get to play all your secrets for free, but unfortunately nothing in hand there. She goes to the Deadly Shot. With some spell power. That could be actually a crucial part of this game in future turns.
How trash do you think Ice Barrier is now?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was thinking. Ice Barrier could be the savior. I mean, Mana Worm, Ice Barrier, Spellbender.
I actually much prefer Mana Worm,
Firelands Portal,
or even just Firelands Portal ping and deal with the 3-4 with your 4-2.
What to
but I mean,
or, you know,
10 health is worrying.
Yeah, but he's only got one card in hand. You'd have to have a very specific set of cards. You've seen one Kill Command, you've seen one Quick Shot. He would have to have
Kill Command and Quick Shot.
Kill Command and Quick Shot to win the game. I mean, it could definitely happen. And with how many cards we're in, I think we're probably in like he's got 14 cards left in his hand or in the deck or something. It's well within the realms of possibility that just happens. but then if you don't deal with the entire board, you just put Ice Barrier down.
I like Firelands Portal plus Ice Barrier, but
it's going to go for part of that play, but also drops the Mano instead. But unfortunately, Squire is going to be nowhere to be seen.
So he does the play, but obviously I forgot that he had 10 mana and not 9, so he could actually make the ping happen as well.
But Cipher fears not and will plough forwards. And with the kill command, I believe that just about seals the game, unless we see an ice block, which I don't think is going to be in this deck.
there won't be an Ice Block in the deck, and Ice Barrier is not going to come into play because obviously Cipher can just hero power and that will kill him.
This is where your play of Spellbender and Firelands Portal could have been better.
Could have.
Would have, should have.
Could have.
So Arcane Intellect here, I mean, I don't really know what you're searching for.
None of those do the trick.
I think that's the kind of Arcane Intellect play where you're like, maybe there's something in my deck that I completely forgot existed. But unfortunately, as we're all aware, and I'm sure Hello Leeroy is too, it's going to be game going the way of Cipher. Just needs to hero power once it's his turn.
And the fact that Hello Leeroy has gone face there, I think will say to Cipher,
He's saying that hat's not great.
No, didn't really help out, did it? Well, that is going to be 1-1 now. So Cipher evening things up. That's his Hunter out of the way, and this Tempo Mage not really working out for Hello Leeroy in that matchup specifically. But moving forward, I wouldn't be surprised to see him stick to that. We saw Hello Leeroy play a ton of Tempo Mage last season, and now that it's come back into the meta again, wouldn't be surprised to see him just kind of keep on that and try and get the win out of the way.
So the last play he made that turn, if anyone was wondering why he didn't just give up, by playing Ice Barrier and leaving up the 3-4, he hopes that Cipher makes the mistake of pushing the 3-4 to face first, so he gets the 8 armor, and then unfortunately, he doesn't die then to his hero power. But Cipher took the very safe, considered all options route, including Ice Block in a way, and went for the hero power.
I don't think that any of our players would have.
Well, you don't know. Sometimes you just think, I've got the win, you know. And
is that just a plate on his head, or is that a hat?
I think that's a butcher's hat.
That is a hat.
I think he said that the Santa hat didn't do me any good. And now he's saying, shh, I've got one of the best starting hands to have ever existed.
He does, but there is also a pretty good response from Cipher, who looks like he's running Dragon Warrior.
That's interesting, because usually he would run Control from what we've seen, but Cipher changing up tactics here.
Well,
a Fairy Dragon as well against Tempo Mage feels great.
It does, because it's not easy to remove.
Feels fantastic, my friends.
Greetings.
Feels a fan-dabby dozy. Well, Mana Worm going to be the first turn. But unfortunately, for Hello Leeroy, I was going to say unfortunately for Hello Leeroy, he's going to be met by a Fiery Warrant, but he's not, because Mirror Image is a card that exists. He's going to keep his little worm safe. Hello Leeroy is a little bit surprised to see a Dragon Warrior here.
He's quite excited to see Dragon Warrior.
I'm excited to see Dragon Warrior.
The Fiery War Axe will soak up one of those pesky taunt minions. But Leeroy has already got quite a threatening board. But unfortunately none of his spells can deal with the Fairy Dragon. Do you Frostbolt face?
I think you have to. You Frostbolt face ping, then trade your 3-2 in, and then just continue to hammer home, hopefully.
I wonder.
Not met with the thing that we know exists, which is Twilight Guardian.
Shh. Don't tell Hello Leeroy it's there.
You don't really have any other plays. I mean, you could just ping face and let him trade his entire board and get a free to your Twilight Guardian. It depends how much you value having that Frostbolt to remove what a Dragon Warrior can put down.
Yeah, so what was an incredible starting hand, actually, just the Fairy Dragon has kind of put a spanner in those works. Because, I mean, typically, if this was just a 3-2 that you could target with spells, you just Arcane Blast it, easy peasy, lemon squeezy, you continue, you probably win the game, but it's still a lot of damage.
Incoming Lost Hopes and Dreams.
Yep, and you can see that dawn on Hello Leeroy's face right there. Doesn't have an arcane intellect, so at least he's got a way to refill his hand. Can deal with this minion as well, but obviously has to trade in his mana worm, which is never a fun situation.
You don't really want to do that. I guess you have two plays: Arcane Intellect, Arcane Blast, and then trade in, or you just drop your Water Elemental, and then probably trade your mana worming anyway, because then you can have a follow-up turn of Arcane Blast. But it's a really difficult turn for Hello Leeroy.
I think I'd play Water Elemental and just pass, but that can be punished by a Ravaging Ghoul Execute.
My issue with not trading the mana worm in is Fiery War Axe, but also if you trade the mana worm in, then you know that even without spell power, Arcane Blast deals with it.
So in that case, do you Arcane Intellect first, or do you just play
Water
Elemental and then
even just ping
trade?
deals with it, right?
Imagine a world where Arcane Blast can hit face.
No.
I don't like to. I guess you're taking a lot of damage to face here as the Dragon Warrior if you do trade your face into this this mana worm here. So I guess, okay, this is the flip side play of what I was talking about by not trading in. He takes 4 damage to face, which actually, as a Dragon Warrior who doesn't run Justicar, doesn't really run Shield Block, and you're going up against a mage who definitely has got 2 Fireland portals in deck.
And probably Fireballs too.
Yeah, Frostbolts for sure. We've seen one, so...
There is plenty of damage for Hello Leeroy.
There's plenty of damage, son, if you know what you're talking about.
Don't start me on my West Country accent again.
It's our West Country boy here, it's Dan Gaskin.
Hello Leeroy's happy with that. There was no Ravaging Ghoul and Execute. I think that is what he was worried about.
A second Water Elemental as well.
This is where trading in would have worked better for him, because this turn could have been Arcane Blast, another Water Elemental, and then you could have gone fakes with your Water Elemental. But then that was the only, I think that was the only minion that rewarded that play.
What to do? What to do?
As far as I can think of, yeah.
So it's not great mana-wise.
Except a Kirin Tor Mage, or whatever that one is.
Does he run Bards in this deck?
Who?
Hello Leeroy.
I don't think so. Raven did last week.
Because you get Flame Wake. I think you do run Bards in Tempo Mage, because there is so much you can get out of it that can be impactful.
I mean, people are starting to run it, but they've been running it in the place of Water Elementals. So seeing 2, I would think that there isn't.
There isn't a Bards. Yeah.
But there may be. He may have fit it in elsewhere.
Runs out on me.
Tough turn though. I mean, if it was 6 mana, it would have been a lot easier. But it isn't. So you Arcane Intellect first. You just play a naked Azure Drake, possibly.
Another Water Elemental.
Runs out on me.
And then you freeze up the 3/3 there. That seems fine. But obviously we know that Alexstrasza's champion is going to probably come through. And this is an interesting addition here to the Dragon Warrior deck. It's something that we haven't seen since Ball Control's Tempo Warrior. It is Malkarak. Now, actually, I believe Munchables was saying to me, why don't they run Malkarak anymore? Because it just seems like such a solid card to still run.
I like Malkarak. I think the thing about Malkarak is just the fact that it's a 7 mana minion. There's not really that many good 7 mana minions. So it kind of just fills a hole a lot of the time. But at the same time, in Dragon Warrior, a lot of the time just dropping a Draknode Crusher is just going to be better. So...
I mean, you won't like Malkarak if he drops a Cursed Blade on you.
Exactly.
I guess that may be one of the reasons why people stop playing it, because of that
risk.
That risk.
But during the Yogg-Saron meta, I don't really see that as a major concern. Now,
well, Harrison's being run as well. I guess Malkarak opens up the possibility that Harrison's become an issue for you as well.
These taunts still getting in the way of Hello Leeroy from putting any damage into Cipher's face here, though.
So there's 2 options, I guess. You could Corcoran Elite and definitely get the clear onto the Azure Drake. But here we go. It's an awful one.
It's an Argent Lance, but I mean, it's not a Curse Blade at the end of the day. I think that's always your fear. You have that kind of deep inhale of breath as you play it. Hope you don't get Curse Blade and just be happy with anything else.
How good could Arcane Missiles be here? Obviously, you take the Arcane Intellect first. Double Arcane Missiles with Mana Worm and Cult Sorcerer.
Let's make magic.
Suddenly becomes pretty great. 10 damage.
Seems good, man.
This is basically like dropping a bad Cthulhu.
Yeah. Except it only costs you about...
No mana.
No mana.
Yeah.
I wonder if he'll clear the whole board here.
Wouldn't be too surprised by it. Doesn't quite get it in the end. Do you trade the 4/4 here?
I personally would.
I think I'd just go face.
Okay, no. I was just thinking because of, I guess at this point if he plays Draconid Crusher then he's kind of way behind on tempo anyway.
I think you go face and you're hoping that you're going to be drawing one of those Frost Bolts or Fireballs or something, some sort of burn next turn.
Anything.
Because I mean, we haven't seen Firelands Portal, we haven't seen Fireballs.
I guess he knows that this Malkorok's going to be traded into something regardless, so... Yeah, actually no, I think going face is better, Dan. Well done.
Thanks, bud. I guess another reason why Malkorok's not been used is it's another weapon, but it's a weapon late on, and sometimes you do run out of health as a Dragon Warrior, so using your life total as a way of dealing with things isn't necessarily great.
What does it replace? What does Malkorok replaced here?
That's why like Munch said, I wonder if it's replacing one Dragonite Crusher, perhaps.
Doesn't seem worth it.
It doesn't seem worth it, but I don't know if that is the case.
I think the difference between that and Draconoid Crusher is obviously Draconoid Crusher is a very slow minion. Like, you take that turn to ramp up and often doesn't really get the effect that you want out of it. Malkorok, even if you don't get the greatest weapon, you get something instantly done.
So Cipher's saying you don't have 2 damage. Well, we can tell you he doesn't have 2 damage.
Which means he has to trade here if he wants to survive.
Yeah.
We know that. He's going to be questioning whether there's 6 damage in Cipher's hand.
To make that play, Cipher has to be setting up for lethal.
This is why I love Hearthstone. Both players then just started praying. They both just put their hands together like, oh please. Cipher's saying please don't have lethal. Hello Leeroy's saying please don't have lethal too, because I know I don't have it. And that's what's great, is just that these players do develop so much. They put so much emotion into these games.
I wonder.
Now Leeroy has one heck of a decision to make. Does he go for the trade? Because the second you go for this trade, obviously you're playing around your opponent's lethal. That's obvious. However, you're also removing your own lethal from the board, right? You're removing your essentially win condition.
Let's make magic.
He's going to drop the Cult Sorcerer. I think he's going to go face.
He's going to go face, isn't he?
I think you have to trade, because I mean, if you get a Fireball or something off the top,
there is the face, and that means I think Leeroy knows it. He's like, well, let's see what happens, but we know for a fact Corcoran's there. The Fiery War Axe comes through. Cipher 2-1 up in this series now, and Leeroy not happy with that one. Strolls out of the room. I think going to get himself a glass of water, as is customary when Hello Leeroy loses a game. But Cipher now leading this series, and we said it before that maybe Cipher is this Achilles heel of Hello Leeroy. He beat him last season in playoffs. He's looking to do it in the group stages here.
I think you trade there.
Yeah.
Sorry,
no. I agree. But then, okay, right. Let's look at it in a perspective point of view. If you trade, where are your outs? What do you draw next?
You've got 16 health to work with. That's for one.
Yeah.
So even if next turn he plays Gromax, he plays his.
So say Cipher armors up. He's got 10 health to get through. He's got Cult Sorcerer in hand. He draws 1 card. What's his out?
But he wouldn't necessarily be looking at lethal next turn.
No. I know, but you've got to think about, in his mind, he's like, well...
Well, there was still another Arcane Intellect in the deck, right?
Had he already used one?
I think he used one. I think he still had a second one.
Yeah, I'm not saying that what he did was correct.
But his out was a Fireball. Would have won him the game.
Did he run Fireballs?
I mean, a Firelands Portal would have won him the game.
If he armored up.
But he would have had a Cult Sorcerer on the trade. Well, it depends on what he traded with.
He had to trade with 2 anyway.
If he traded with the Corcoran Elite, then yeah, that's different. He wouldn't have had lethal. If he traded with Fiery War Axe, for example, then that might have been a different matter. I think it's one of those situations where it's a lot easier for me to say...
He still needed 2 burn spells, basically, to win the game.
I think so. Yeah. But I think you have to put yourself... It's a tough one. Again, it's down to your mentality, and it's whether you want to go for the aggressive. And earlier I said... I questioned a play and said I would have gone for the more aggressive play, whereas in that situation I felt like I would have gone for the more defensive play.
I totally agree with you. I mean, I'm not saying that what he did was right, because I don't think it was. I think trading into a 10 damage Gromoth when you don't actually represent lethal right there and then was incorrect.
Yeah, it was definitely a tough one.
I'm trying to get inside to Hello Leeroy's mentality where you are making a percentage play. And you're saying, I know what's in my deck. I don't think Hello Leeroy runs Fireballs, because I think actually some people sub out Fireballs for Water Elementals.
Okay.
So I didn't think Hello Leeroy ran Fireballs, or at least we haven't seen any in his Tempo Mage deck as of yet. So he needed at least to draw 2 burn spells, because Firelands Portal is 5 damage, and Frostbolt is 4.
Alright, well, we start to look at this next game, the 4th game in this series. And Cipher... looks like he's bringing Beast Druid here. We've got an Enchanted Raven in his hand. Leeroy going to be sticking to this Tempo Mage to kick things off.
We've seen Beast Druid be brought for the past 2 weeks by different competitors now, because it has worked well in several occasions, especially against Druid actually. Like, it's been working well against Malygos Druid.
For sure.
That's been why people have been bringing it. Now, I would favour Tempo Mage over Beast Druid personally. But it's one of those matchups where it's just going to be who can get that early board control.
Well, Hello Leeroy's got good tools to get early board control here. And I think in almost every situation I just Frostbolt the Raven you do. Still, Cipher 2-1 up against Hello Leeroy here. And we talked about Hello Leeroy having the issues with Cipher previously in the finals. This could be a big blow to Hello Leeroy's mentality going forward, especially if Cipher ends up qualifying for finals, which, you know, can definitely happen if Cipher wins here. I mean, it's not out of the realms of possibility.
Especially with Mysterious losing earlier as well. That leaves Mysterious still only on 3 wins, so that means he's still very reachable by Cipher.
And also, if our next series is Green Sheep versus Jombre, right? Green Sheep's 2-2, Jombre's 1-3. If Jombre wins that one, suddenly Cipher is tied with all these other players. Green Sheep loses that kind of 4th place advantage that he previously had, and we very much have a race on our hands.
Let's make magic.
We do indeed, and speaking of races, Hello Leeroy's winning this one so far.
There could be the coin swipe here, followed up by another swipe if you absolutely have to.
I mean, double swipe in hand actually is really good for Cipher to get back into this one. Hello Leeroy telling us that he's going to focus and turn off his phone now. I don't know, who is he talking to? Does he talk to us? Does he talk to Twitch? Is he
I'm not 100% sure.
His mum?
He just talks to his fans.
Himself.
Just the fans, you know.
All his fans.
He's a Wheelstone Hearthstone player. I'm the Wheelstone card slinger.
Stop. So double swipe is going to hurt a lot later on. Oh, another mirror image. But I mean...
He's done. Hello Leeroy's done. Following the conclusion of this game, we see the Hello Leeroy Dunzo manifesto.
A 7-page document.
17-page document. Sorry. Where he calls out all of the RNG statistics in Hearthstone and how he always draws mirror image.
Calls out the other Excel members.
They all gave me these mirror images and I just couldn't hack it.
I mean, I spoke to Hello Leeroy briefly today, and he said, I've already qualified, I've already done the maths. And I was like, fair enough, if you think you have. I think there's like a couple of tiebreakers, I don't want to get too into it. I was like, how about you just win, and you guarantee your qualification? But I think he is pretty much almost there. But this is more important for Cipher, I feel.
He can still get first seed if he beats ball control later on in the season, and he doesn't lose another match.
Yeah, this is the thing, right? Like, we've been talking about qualification. You know, when you look at the players like Hello Leeroy, like ball control, you expect qualification. That's like minimum requirement. These guys are going to be looking for first seed here. Hello Leeroy. I like the turn timeout as it goes to grab an apple.
I like apples, bro.
Bathe in flame.
He's putting cowboy hat back on. Look.
He's had it on since the start of the game. He's a draw big here. That's not drawing awfully, to be honest. But he's going to be met by the unsightly turn of Menagerie Warden onto a 4/7, which...
Yeah, that's a pretty fantastic turn for Cipher. Look at that board. For 6 mana...
Hey boys, Frost Nova's coming into play now.
That's a fireball as well.
That's a fireball, you're right. Could have been out, and this is an out that Leeroy is just considering. Just go straight for face.
Frost Nova, fireball face, wham bam. Thank you, man. Doesn't even need to. I guess you don't even need to Frost Nova yet because you have those 3 taunts on board.
We'll be able to freeze face as well. Another Menagerie Warden.
Oh, does he go for it though? Does he just go for it? Like, I mean, he gets punished by this Frost Nova, but then it only buys Leeroy 1 turn to draw some burn.
It's so slow though. That's the problem.
But especially with the
if he gets another fireball, that's game.
How much quicker can he be against these 3 taunts? I guess you could. Yeah, he's just going to do it. Here comes the Frost Nova from the Babbling Book.
Well, he's going to be able to get a Living Roots as well to kill one of the taunts, which means he can get at least some damage into face now. And this next turn looks terrifying with Savage Roar on top of everything, as a Drake is not the burn he needs.
But Frost Nova coming into big plays.
This is still doable right now for Hello Leeroy.
There's 2 swipes gone. There's nothing that actually wins Cipher the game here.
I think the Babbling Book Frost Nova.
I think the Babbling Book Frost Nova might have won the game.
Yeah, there are very little out. I mean, you play as a Drake, but what are you looking for?
Oh, Feral Rage. Does he run Feral Rage and Beast Druid? Or do you have to use Savage Roar with the charge here?
Just to stay alive.
And then armor up.
Which does keep him alive, actually, and if Leeroy can't kill Cipher on this turn, with there's a lot of damage on board. I was going to say with Savage Roar, but doesn't even need it, does he? 5, 9, 13, 8. Ooh.
It's only going to have 1 spell with it, though.
Do you take the chance?
How many do you need? You've got 6. You need both to go face.
Both need to go face.
On a 1 in 7.
You are dead on board if you don't kill him.
Unless you Flame Waker and Frostbolt and trade your 3/6 to freeze some stuff on board.
But then I guess it's another situation of like, are you just stalling the inevitable then?
It's a 1 in 49 of actually.
They seem like
to face.
pretty good odds for me.
1 in 49.
Could you draw into something that? No, because you'd need 2 burn spells at this point.
One's out on me.
I mean, what the other play you have is basically starting to trade in, basically deny your opponent lethal.
So if you Frostbolt first and see where they go, and then maybe you could trade your Water Elemental into one of the 5/5s just to try and delay the inevitable.
Well, no. He's going to have to trade into something. Go for a 4/7.
If it gets to ping.
I think he ran out of time. But the Innovate is here as well.
So basically he's saying I need to draw Fireball next turn.
It would have been lethal if he had room on the board.
Yeah.
You can get... Yeah, you can't, because you've got to trade something anyway. He's got 20 on board.
You have to trade here.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's not the end of the world, right? He's got so much to use right now. Looks like Darnus Aspirant will be the first trade to go with. I mean, this is still not over. All he needs to do is draw a Fireball.
If it pinged last turn, he could have drawn a Violence Portal as well.
Yeah. I mean, Violence Portal plus ping still kills him anyway.
Yeah, but he's probably going to armor up.
Yeah, of course. But yeah, that's what I mean. He did miss out on the ping. He ran out of time.
That could be.
That's what he's saying to himself. He's saying, I missed that 1 damage. and it could be absolutely detrimental. You're
It's
right, with
absolutely-
the armor up will put him out of range.
No, never mind.
It's not the right draw anyway. There we have it. That is going to be the series in the end. It is going to be 3-1 to Cipher.
I'm glad we didn't
Hello
do
Leeroy actually AFK'd this.
He could very well have.
I mean,
That
would
is
you
unbelievably
would,
BM.
would you expect anything else from Mr. Charisma
I
himself?
would, mate. I would expect sportsmanship.
No.
That's what I would expect. Calling you out, hello Leeroy.
Against his Achilles heel that is Cipher.
I said right at the start.
He's gonna make him wait.
Cypher's. We've just got a 2-minute countdown here, boys. I mean, Dan, what did you have for dinner today?
So we actually ordered this takeaway. It was quite enjoyable. Okay, what did I have?
AFC.
Oh yeah,
AFC.
had some fried chicken. That's great.
Fried chicken.
Well, the timer will go down. Cipher is going to win. Hello Leeroy has unfortunately left.
The depressing thing as well, Cipher doesn't even know that he's won right now. He's like trying to figure out what hello Leeroy's
like-
possibly thinking about.
He's like, is this incredible BM? Is he just going to fireball ping me?
Nope, he just left.
That's
Cypher's like,
Cypher's face,
did he
yeah,
really
mate.
just do that?
I gotta say, mate. Hello Leeroy. Not very classy on that one.
When is Hello Leeroy?
Calling you
When
out,
has he ever
calling
been
you out
classy?
there, buddy. That's pretty bad manners. But in the end, Cipher gets the loss, wins the series 3-1, and that means it's 2-3 now. He's not out of the runnings just yet.